It is not often Magnus Carlsen loses, so that's what I'm going to show you. In 2021, Magnus, he's lost a few games, and in this video, he lost to Hikaru Nakamura and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Hikaru Nakamura, a top player from the US and MVL, French #1. So let's see how these players beat the world #1. Nakamura has white, Magnus Carlsen has black. E4, E5. Knight 3, knight C6, and bishop B5. We have the Spanish, A6, bishop A4, and after knight F6, castle. Knight takes E4, and D4 we have the open Spanish, B5, bishop tucks back, D5. Defend your knight, take. White attacks the center twice, so black defends it twice with his bishop and queen as well. Knight D2, challenge the knight in center, knight to C5, attack the bishop. White now plays C3. Useful move, you control the D4 square. Also give your bishop a chance to tuck back. Bishop E7, white tucks back, and D4. One option with this move is, even before you castle, you play D4, you can go D3, trying to shut out white's bishop. White plays knight B3, and D takes C3 played. This is one way to play. Many complex games have gone down this route. Take, take, castle, something like this. Bishop E3, queen D5, that's one way to continue. B4, well, maybe even A5, and things get very, very complex. After knight B3, D takes C3 played. Knight takes C5, take. Nice move here because Nakamura, he doesn't play the obvious recapture, he plays bishop E4 first. Black defends knight, and now he takes towards the center. Rook D8, so not castling yet. Queen C2, can't castle now. Maybe Magnus missed his chance to castle. Queen and bishop line up against the H10 pawn, knight E7 played. The idea with this move is you go bishop F5, bishop D5, trying to trade off this piece. Another option was to go bishop D5, trade it off that way. After queen C2, knight E7, bishop G5, you get a bishop out, and you put a rook on D1. Rook attacks the queen, queen's out, gets out of the way. A huge decision from white. Now he can retreat, but he takes. And after this capture, rooks come off. Carlsen takes with the king. Knight D4. Knight is coming into C6. Magnus plays rook E8 first, because if you go knight C6 check, then king F8. And if bishop F3, king G8. And then here, that's why Nakamura's next move is really good. Nakamura sees Carlsen's plan, and he just gets the bishop out of the way first. Bishop F3, and the queen can actually come into H7. G6, he stops it. But every pawn pushes a weakness. With this move, queen D2. Now the H pawn is weak. Bishop takes D4. This pawn is a weakness. If you go H5, then check, and then lots of entry squares for white. So not good. Now Carlsen decides to take this knight. Take, take. But the problem is, when you take this knight, you have fixed white's structure. D5, D6 coming. Bishop G4. He doesn't even defend the pawn. He can go G5, H5, defend it, but no, bishop G4. I guess you could take it, but after take, you got queen F5. Maybe black is coming back in the game. Nakamura, he doesn't even bother. Let's not take that pawn. Let's go D5. Bishop F3, D6, check. King D7, take. Rook E6, and rook C1. Using the pin on the C file, Magnus goes C5, queen E3, another attacking move. Nakamura now plays with the initiative. The next few moves, they're just all attacking moves. Queen E3 attacks the pawn, so you got to push. Check. King E8 and rook D1, threatening D7 check to win the queen. Queen blocks, and now check first, and then we can take. And really, he's just collecting all the pawns. King F8, take, check. In this position, well, what happens if we defend the pawn? If you go queen D7, then we've got rook D5. Defending, and you're going to collect on B5 as well. One option, well, what if rook E5? Well, D7 check, it's just too dangerous. That is just over. King somewhere. If king E7, the funny thing is that it's mate. So, but it doesn't help, because this, you're just going to win the rook anyway. Rook E7. Rook E1, and the guy can't move. C3, cool line here, just grab it, man. Just take, and then you get a queen. Queen takes A6, Carlsen runs, but then he chucks that pawn. Queen G5, check, King F1, and rook takes E5. Really, really cool finish here. Can you see it? Pause the video now or let the timer run. How does white finish it off? The winning move is queen takes rook. Cool, because after take d7, there's no good check, there's no good way to stop the pawn queening. So that is how Nakamura beat Carlsen. Here we have the summary for game 1. The opening was in open Spanish. How to beat Carlsen: do not play the obvious move, play bishop e4 first. Huge decision for white to trade bishop for a knight. Now white gets in knight d4. How to beat Carlsen: do not give his king a safe spot. Bishop f3 threatens queen h7. How to beat Carlsen: keep attacking his weaknesses. Rook and queen team up against lots of pawns. Carlsen has white, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. MVL has black, 15 minutes each on the clock, plus 10 seconds, e4, c5. Knight c3, d6 and f3. By the way, this move doesn't really matter because we're going to get an open Sicilian anyway. Knight c6, bishop b5, pin the knight to the king, g6. Fighting for control over the d4 square. MVL is going to go bishop g7 to control it. Now d4, we get it opened up. Take, take. Bishop d7, break the pin. Bishop e3, defend your knight twice. Black is attacking it twice. No problems here. Knight f6, queen d2, castle, castle, and rook c8. Overall, this is a fascinating opening choice by Magnus because he knows MVL plays the knight off. And with this move order, he's actually got him to play a dragon setup. So I find this opening choice, this move order from Carlsen, fascinating. The bishop on b5 is not on the best square, so Carlsen puts it back to e2. a6, king b1. Put your king directly in front of the free pawns, b5 and g4. This is a type of chess I want to play. I castle on one side, you castle on the other. I attack you with my pawns, and so do you. g4, h4, h5. Let's see who gets there first. Taking the center, a big decision because it does improve the placement of this bishop. Now, if you're a dragon player, you might vomit at the sight of the next move. But MVL, he understands the change in structure about to come up. And believe it or not, he plays the move e5, which looks absolutely disgusting. If you played a dragon, I hope you found a bucket and vomited, because you trap your own bishop. But this bishop has to move to e3 and b4. There is no time for white to take the pawn on d6. There's no good square for the knight, so it's got to come in the middle. So knight d5. No, no, say that again. b4. Only square for the knight is on d5. White has no time to take the pawn on d6. Knight d5, take, and he plays pawn takes. So after this transformation, the pawn on d6 is no longer a weakness. This transformation has worked out very well for black. So in the middle game, it's move 17 now. I think MVL, he's outplayed Carlsen. I think he's understood this position better than him. Now, one option, well, if we look at queen d5, you've got bishop e6. That's the problem. And after queen d6, you've got queen a5. Who cares you're down a pawn? This queen is not on the best square. You've got a couple of pieces already facing the white queen side. You've got rook c2. You've got also rook c8 coming up as well. Too much pressure. And b3, there's a cool way to crash through. Rook takes c2, and it's already very, very dangerous. There's only one way out here for white, which is you got to defend this pawn from the back. You go queen a6. You've got an x-ray defense on it. That's the only way out. By the way, if we actually have a look at this, take, crashing through, queen takes a2 check. All the red circles show all the squares the king cannot go to. And that's it. Rook can come in, bishop can come in, queen can come and take that as well. Game over. If you go king c1, check is possible. You can even go check, because if here, that is mate. So you got to go up and then check. Everything is falling. Mate. Or if you go on the c file, then check. Mate. Coming up very soon. Magnus takes with the pawn, and we have a brilliant move. It just goes to show MVL, yeah, he's understanding this position better than Magnus. He just sacks a pawn. It doesn't look possible, but with this pawn sack, it is typical to open up the bishop. Give up that pawn. Take rook e8. Not only do you give up this pawn, but white's pawn is now a target, so if you get it back in the future, then it's a good deal. Also, with this move, you are controlling this square 3 times. It's very nice to control the square in front of the pawn you are down, so this has worked out very well for black. Bishop d4, he doesn't even defend it, because if you go bishop d3, you lose this one. If you go queen d3, you lose this one. Queen moves out the way, take, and there's just too much pressure for black. too much. The queen can come to f6 as well, and then we get mate on b2. Bishop d4, offering a trade. MVL, he gets his pawn back. Take, h3. Carlsen, he's got to defend his weak pawn, a5. Rook h1, queen e7. Black is in charge. Black has controlled the e-file and the c-file. Bishop d3, rook e5. And with this move, there's no good way to actually defend his pawn. You might play an ugly move like bishop a6 because then the queen defends it, but then you go rook c5, that pawn is going to drop. So after rook e5, Carlsen's in trouble. Queen f2, he gives up the pawn. Rook e1, rook e5, offering a rook trade. Queen d4, pin the rook to the king, but rook c5 you defend along the rank. Rook e4, bishop e6, b3, and king out the way. Cool move, because when a king moves away you can trade, and that's a good strategy. You are up a pawn. Rook e1, take, queen c7, getting off the c-file, but there's another point to queen c7. It's not really pressure on the c-file. After h4, you go rook e5, so another cool way to offer a trade. One pair of rooks have come off, time for another pair to come off, and black is in the driving seat. g5, rooks come off, and queen c5. That f7 pawn is the extra pawn black is up. Time to get that rolling. Check, king up, back, check, and h5, fixing that pawn. Don't be careless, always possible to mess it up. Check, not there. Check, and white gets out with a perpetual, which sucks, so no. h5, fixing that pawn. En passant, you can just take. h5, good move. Queen f1, bishop d5, queen e1, king f8, cool move. Control. MVL is showing a lot of control. Get the king to f8, control the e7 square. King e7, defend the pawn. Every black piece is on its optimal square. King, bishop, queen. Whereas if we compare it to white's pieces, that's passive, not doing too much, and the queen is the only one doing something. But the problem is it's got to guard the h7 pawn. The h4 pawn, I mean. Check. Block. Queen e5, offering another trade. Queen f2, bishop e6. When the queen is on this square, it defends a5. That's why it's, white can never come in. And also, it's just controlling all these squares. It's just a perfect queen, right in the center of the board. Queen f1, bishop f5, once again. I mean, how many times have we seen this? Black's up a pawn, and almost his entire strategy is to trade down into a winning endgame, and that's exactly what MVL does. Take, queen d1. You attack the pawn, but who cares? Push, take the pawn. My pawn is faster. Check, push, check, and f2. And after queen g5, check f6, he resigned. Black is going to get another queen. Queen moves out of the way. There's no good square. You get a queen, and then queen c3 is mate. So that is how MVL beat Carlsen. Even though Magnus got his opponent into a Sicilian dragon, which he doesn't normally play, MVL showed better understanding to win this game. Summary for Game 2. Fascinating opening choice by white. Carlsen knows MVL plays the Sicilian knight off, but he has got MVL playing a Sicilian dragon. This is the type of chess I want to play. I castle on one side, you castle on the other. How to beat Carlsen, understand the change in pawn structure better than him. e5, then b4. This transformation in pawn structure has worked out very well for black. Activate a piece by giving up a pawn. Unleash the dragon bishop. How to beat Carlsen, control the position. Black is in charge of the c and e files. When you are pawn up, trade off your rooks. And how to win Carlsen's pawns, fix them, play a move like h5. Here's YouTube's suggestion for what to watch next. But if you don't like their option, you might like Alireza Firouzja beats Magnus Carlsen in 29 seconds. If you don't like that one, you might like the other way around. Magnus Carlsen beats Alireza Firouzja in 21 seconds. Thanks for watching.